Good morning, everyone.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, and my apologies for being late. You can never count on traffic, but it is a real pleasure to be here. I'm Amy Everitt. I'm the president of Golden State Opportunity. Next slide. Oh, is that me? Sorry. Back there. There we go. Today I'm going to share with you the information about what it is like to live with financial insecurity in California. 100% of what I'm going to share with you is based on our conversations with people who are having this lived experience from the Oregon border all the way down to Mexico. Golden State Opportunity works to create financial security for low-income workers. We've had 10 years. We're celebrating our 10th year anniversary, both of Golden State Opportunity and the Cali ITC. That record of accomplishment includes an annually reaching 5.5 million low-income workers and putting roughly $10 billion in their pockets every year through both state and federal tax credits. The Cali ITC in 2024, the record of $1.4 billion just from the Cali ITC. In the last few years, we've expanded the Cali ITC to include foster youth and ITIN holders. I'm really excited to share with you that foster youth have experienced a 17% increase in what they are claiming and a 3% increase from ITIN holders. This is going to be a challenge. Okay, so there are four main challenges to folks who are working hard and still struggling to get by. The first hard truth I'm going to talk with you about is the fact that work isn't working because wages are not keeping up. We have wages that are at this level, we have the cost of living at this level, and what I'm here to talk about today is what's in between that gap. How do we help people afford their basic needs? It should be noted that 34% of Californians lack sufficient income to meet their basic needs. Okay, as I said, wages are not keeping up. When we look at what it means to be low income, I'm going to use my own home city of San Francisco. It looks different than you might think. The reality is, in order to be considered middle class in San Francisco, you have to make $91,000 a year, according to Smart Asset. In order to qualify for CalFresh, our food stamp program, as a single-person household, you cannot make more than $19,758 annually. You need $91,000 to live a middle-class life. In order to qualify for food stamps, you can't make more than $20,000. To put that in more context, someone who is working 40 hours a week at a minimum wage in San Francisco would earn nearly twice that amount at $37,600. These thresholds don't even match the region's measure of poverty. To be considered low income in the Bay Area in general, a family of four must make $149,000. That same family would be cut off from CalFresh assistance at $40,000. Again, the cost of living, wages, and even some of our public benefits are not meeting that gap. And so we have work not working, and we have a safety net program that also isn't working. It's based on a lot of outdated measures. The California Healthcare Foundation report recently reported on rates of disenrollment for Medi-Cal. During COVID, as you probably know, re-enrollment criteria were waived, and people stayed on it. Once that expired, over 2 million low-income Californians were disenrolled, and 90% of those 2 million folks were disenrolled simply because they missed a deadline or some other procedural reason. So not only are people working and not making enough to meet their basic needs, we have programs that you have to make so little you can barely make it, and we have programs that are now hard to stay in, hard to enroll in and hard to stay in. We have tools to make these systems better, and there is a lot of room for improvement, and I'm looking forward to talking with you now about those. Oh, one last one. There are barriers to access. I don't know if anyone here has ever tried to enroll in public benefits. It is a full-time job. There are real costs, both in terms of your opportunity cost of your time, where else could you be with your family, furthering your education or your skills, taking care of a loved one, and there are real costs. The cost of childcare, the cost of transportation, the fees it costs to enroll, and the money you lose when you're not at work because you're trying to enroll in benefits. We've created a system that sort of continues to perpetuate financial hardship for people working really hard and trying to make ends meet. So now to the solutions or ideas. Oh no, this is the same one that I mentioned earlier, which is that when you enroll, you can still get disenrolled. So let's reimagine what this system could look like. We have 21st century solutions to systems that are frankly, in some cases 100 years old, 70 years old. We should be looking and reimagining what these systems are going to look like, and I'm excited to see so many of my colleagues in this work here who are going to talk about that. I have 3 suggestions. One is to have a very deep and critical look at how we deploy these programs, what we determine access to be, and how do we maintain enrollment. Everybody needs these programs. We do focus groups all across the state, and we've been doing them for 5 years, and I will share with you one of the biggest differences that I have seen in 5 years is the level of frustration. For folks who qualify for the California Earned Income Tax, that means they make under $32,000 a year. It is very hard to make ends meet if you are a family of 4, if you are an individual in California, anywhere on that amount. Frustration is high, both of what are these narratives about the deserving and the undeserving folks, people who are working, people who are struggling because they have to stay home and take care of their families or they're disabled. We need to really look at programs that look at financial struggle in total, not using the federal poverty line as the real measure, because it is $13,000 for an individual. It is too low and it is outdated. We need to look deeply at our systems and what we choose to do with them. The second is my suggestion that we put Cali ITC on some rocket fuel. Imagine what it would be. Right now, the California Earned Income Tax Credit delivers an average of about $150 per person. Some families get more, some get less. The federal one is the one where it's an average of $2,500 returned. But the California Earned Income Tax Credit, because our policy reflects our values, is much more inclusive than the federal one. In fact, about 1 million Californians qualify for the Cali ITC that do not qualify for the federal one. They're either over 65 or they're under 24, or whatever money they make. So if we could imagine the Cali ITC, which is going to folks who are already earning an income, if we put it on the rocket fuel of $5,000 as an average return, if we raise the income limit to $75,000, we would be reaching more people and we would really do the transformation of moving people beyond just struggling to put food on their table. And I think that's something we all want to do. Currently, it is a lifeline. If we invest in it, we can make it a transformational investment. And lastly, we leave a lot of billions of dollars on the table for low-income folks. One example of that is CalKids. CalKids is a program that creates a 529-style funding mechanism for low-income kids to access higher education or vocational education. We leave $1.8 billion on the table every year. $1.8 billion would be transformational for those families and ending intergenerational poverty. So continue to invest in the free tax prep, in the direct file, and the CAL file. Let's look at new ways of making it less expensive to be poor in California, and let's reimagine a system that works for more people more effectively. Thank you very much for your time today.
I want to thank you, Amy, for your very, very thoughtful presentation, informational. We have time for one question. Member Lieber, I'll pivot to you.
Well, thank you so much for coming here through some difficult circumstances, Ms. Everitt. And I appreciate that you've brought a policy prescription. And I think the information that you've shared with us here today is really the why of why we are doing this hearing, to really elevate how difficult it is for individuals to fit into these categories. And when policymakers look at the entire package and assume that a family can get CalFresh, can get affordable housing, et cetera, they maybe aren't as mindful of the cross-cutting qualifications that are out there. And so I don't so much have a question as just a recognition that I hope that you can continue to work with us on the Franchise Tax Board, and we can work with you within the legislature to try to amplify the dynamics at work.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It'll be my pleasure. Thank you all for having this hearing and for having me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate